Ego, Slendy, Ego, Slendy, hey. Hit it out the park. Hit it with a strike. From the national anthem to the bottom of the night. I've been Slendy, Ego, Slendy, Ego, Slendy, Ego, Slendy, hey. You already know what's up. What's that? Another home run. We should know the job ain't done till we hold that trophy up. Hey.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 415 of the Talking Friars podcast and YouTube show. Ben Fadden with you here. It is June 18th, 2023. The San Diego Padres, they just took 2 out of 3 from the best team in Major League Baseball. Are the Padres back? Is this their turnaround for the season? Was this an encouraging series win, a convincing series win? Give your thoughts in the comments in the live chat if you're here on YouTube, or you can at me on social media at Talking Friars on Twitter or Instagram, in the chat. If you're watching this on replay in the comment section, feel free to, you can give your thoughts there, because I'm curious. Like, Padres take 2 out of 3 here, lost game 1, but win the last 2 games of the series. Are you encouraged by this series because they took 2 out of 3? Or are you encouraged because of what you actually saw on the field? And I'll give my thoughts more on that, more as we go in this show here, because I think we can be happy that this team took 2 out of 3, but I don't know if most of the fan base is going to be like really encouraged by the team's performance. Are they really back? Or is this really turning around the season here? I'm happy they took 2 out of 3. No, don't get me wrong. Like, beat the best team in baseball. Like, at the bottom line, they took 2 out of 3. That's great. But I mean, let's be honest. Was that the most convincing series win? No, I don't think so. And so we'll get to today's game, obviously, what happened yesterday, what happened in game 1 of the series, which was obviously a loss for the Padres. Didn't seem like the Padres were in that game, really. I know they had the game-tying run and Tatis up at the plate in the bottom of the 9th with the bases loaded, but I even though it's Tatis, I didn't have confidence that it was going to go hit a granny there and tie it up. That's just the way that night went on Friday, unfortunately. But they won the last 2 games of this series, and obviously, the bottom line, like I said in my post-game reaction outside Petco Park today, taking 2 out of 3 when you're playing the best team in baseball and you're under 500, that's what matters the most here. But as someone that is a fan of the team, and this isn't a postseason series, great, they took 2 out of 3, and now that they're moved on, who cares what happened? It's a long season here, so we're going to have takeaways in this series, and we're putting stock into this and saying, okay, are they going to be able to continue this? Was this a legit series win where it's showing all right, we don't have to be worried about this team anymore? I don't think we're at that spot with this team. I think there's definitely still issues for sure, but we'll get through that. Code Talking Friars on SeatGeek, $20 off your order. You can click that link in my description for BreakingT.com. Padres, Wave, San Diego State gear. Feel free to do that. Since game 3 just happened, let's get into today's game. So Padres, they were able to take it 5-4. They're now 35-36 they're 4th in the National League West here. Sorry, my Wi-Fi was it wasn't loading up there. 4th in the NL West. Musgrove got the start today. I thought he pitched pretty well. 6 innings, gave up 2 earned runs. Another quality start from him. His last now 5 outings, he has produced good results. His ERA is still 4.22, but we got to remember, one of those starts that he had was in Mexico City, so that definitely bumped up his ERA. And so it's going to take a while for that ERA to get back down to what we probably expected Joe's ERA to be at the end of the year. But he has time to do that. That's the good thing. And he doesn't care what his ERA is. He just cares if, he's helping the team win from here on out. And that's what he's doing so far. Like today, as I said on my post-game reaction, I think that he limited the damage today. There were a couple situations where there was bases loaded and nobody out. Top 2. allowed a run, but got a double play after that, and then a pop out to end the inning. I believe there was a runner on second with no outs in that inning. And then top of the fourth, this was the bases loaded, nobody out situation I was referring to. He allowed just one run, limiting it, right? The sac fly was the one run that he allowed. But, the Padres, they got lucky in some other ways as well. But the only way that actually got lucky in those situations, and I mean lucky because they were able to win this game thanks to some of those plays, they wouldn't have been able to be in a position to get lucky to go win this game if Joe would not have been able to come through in some of those spots. If he did not limit the damage in some of those situations, then we probably wouldn't be here talking about a Padres series win. So I'm encouraged by what I've seen from Joe as of late. I'm definitely encouraged by what I've seen from Blake. And we're going to get to his performance here in a little bit. Offensively today, part of the reason why I'm saying, I'm not saying like, oh, this is turnaround, and I'm not that encouraged by this series win, to be honest. Like, I like the pitching part of it for the most part, but overall, I'm not like super encouraged by this series win. I'm happy that they took 2 out of 3, but part of why I'm not encouraged about this is because of what happened today. I mean, they went 3 for 12 with runners in scoring position, and the runs that they got today, 3 of those runs, which I believe happened in the third inning, that was because of the Rays. I mean, sure, they got runners on, but the Soto nubber that he hit like 10 feet in front of the plate, maybe it was even less than that. I mean, he didn't smash that ball, right? Where he smashed it right into the ground. Christian Bethancourt, I guess he's trying to help out his former team still, throws it to second base with Tatis going to be safe, obviously. Decides to throw it to second for some reason. Throw gets away, run scores, Tatis gets to third, and then as he's rounding third, Matt Williams has the stop sign up, and he runs right through it because he looks to the outfield and sees, oh, I can run on this. It's not in yet. It's not in the infield yet. I'm going to run. And he ends up getting in there. It wasn't a great throw by Tampa anyway. So they got lucky there. And the luck didn't just stop there because remember, Soto was the one that hit that. He got on base because of it, and he was on third base for the sac fly. So there's 3 runs right there that maybe shouldn't have even scored, but thanks to the Rays and Nando because of his speed and willing to take that risk. But, thanks to the Rays, they were able to score probably more runs than they should have in that third inning. And they ended up winning by 1. But also, it wasn't just luck as well, like at the end of the game with Tatis, right? Because he made a tremendous throw, and Nola with a tremendous pick as well. I don't want to make this just about Tatis. We, bash Nola all the time. I know fans, they don't like Nola. When Gary Sanchez pinch hit for Nola today, Petco Park was pretty loud. They were like all clapping because they know that Gary's the better option at the plate than Nola is. So for all the crap we give Nola, when he does something good, I'm going to give him praise. And what he did today on that throw from Tatis, which saved the game because that would have scored a run, that would have scored Margot, and the game would have been tied instead of Padres up 5-4 with Hader coming in the bottom of the 9th. He comes up with the pick and the tag to barely get Manny Margot to keep that score where it was. Now, you could say that it was a dumb decision by Manuel Margot to go on that, because that's what I thought immediately. Like, I saw that play. It was a single to right, and I'm looking at third base. I'm seeing Manny rounding third, and I'm seeing him go. Like, he wasn't even halfway to home yet, and he's going with Tatis having the ball. And I'm like, this isn't going to work out well. I get it. Manny's fast, and like Padre fans know that. Marco's fast. But, you have to take risk. But you got to realize Tatis is the guy in right field. This isn't Trent Grisham in right. This isn't Juan Soto in right, where I would definitely run on him and take that chance. It's Tatis in right. And credit to Tatis, 1 hop right to Nola. And obviously, like I said, give credit to Nola on the great pick, because that was a great pick and just got him. They were able to win the review. Tampa reviewed it, challenged it, and he was out. Initially, when the play happened, I didn't think that Margot was out. It looked like he may have got in there, but obviously we saw the angle. Nola, people, I saw, or I heard fans around me where I was sitting. They were like, "Oh, he's blocking the base or blocking the plate. Not allowed to do that." But that's where the throw was taking him. And it's not like he had his whole foot in front of the base or in front of the plate, blocking Margot. Margot had room to go. So that was not in violation of a rule there. So great play on both ends by Toddy and by Nola to keep that game where it was. And the Rays did score some of their runs on maybe some bad luck on the Padres side of things. Like there was one, right? The Odor, it was like a blooper and Odor couldn't get to it. That ball was not hit hard, right? There were some plays there that it's not like the ball was smashed, and the Rays definitely deserved to go, score those runs. So there was luck on both sides of things. But, just overall in this series, why I'm saying that this team, I don't think has like totally turned the corner, and I'm not super encouraged offensively. I'm not super encouraged by this series is because of the runners in scoring position issue. It's still an issue. On Sunday in this series finale, the Padres, they went 3 for 12 with runners in scoring position. Yesterday, they went 1 for 7. They won the game on Saturday, but 1 for 7. And they got a little bit lucky too with some of the bunts there, right? The day before that, the first game of the series, 1 for 6. So combined in this series, the Padres went 5 for 25 with runners in scoring position. That's still not good. The issue is still there. So it's great. They took 2 out of 3 from the Rays, the best team in baseball. Like, you're definitely going to take the wins. But with the regular season, like, it's still a long series, and I just don't want the fan base to have their hopes up all of a sudden because they took 2 out of 3 here. Like, I want the fan base to be able to read through the lines here, or, read in between the lines, read in the box score, see how the Padres scored these runs. How did they win these couple games here? Was it because they came through a bunch with runners in scoring position? No. They came through a couple times in this series finale. Manny, Odor, and Crony had a double to set up one of the runs. Great. They did come through a little bit, but it's still not at the level that it should be. And until it is at that level, then I'm not going to say, oh, maybe here's the turnaround. And they're still not at 500 yet, right? I want them to at least be over 500 until I declare, all right, this is the turnaround. This is the real Padres. They're back. Here we go. And it's going to be a tough test against the San Francisco Giants in these next 4 games. The Giants, they just won that series against the Dodgers. They won 15-0, I believe, on Saturday. So it's not going to be the easiest thing. Hader's probably going to be down. I think Martinez and Wilson will probably be down in the series opener because I think they pitch back-to-back days. So it's not going to be an easy series, I don't believe, in San Francisco. So we'll see. If they can take 3 out of 4 against San Francisco after taking 2 out of 3, and the runners in scoring position thing looks better, they'd be over 500. So then I would start thinking about, all right, they're turning around here. This is the Padres here. This is the real Padres. Until that happens, for now, I'm still I'm optimistic that they can turn around because they still have the talent, but I'm not super. I did not leave this series super encouraged by the Padres offense performance. Let's see what some people in the chat are thinking here. If you want to join the show, give your thoughts on this series, anything just Padres in general, feel free to click that link that is pinned up at the top of the chat. If you want to make sure I get to your comment or your question, you can use that super chat button. It supports me, it supports the channel, so I appreciate that. Omar says, just keep winning series 3 in a row now. Runners in scoring position, still an issue, but loving the small ball mentality. Whatever gets us past home plate. Java Joe looked good. And Nola breaking out of his slumber. He had that single down the line, right? And he had a hard hit ball that was right up the middle. And it was like, all right, that's a great swing, but it went right to someone. And so that was unfortunate. Kind of with the Padres offense, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, Nola's turning it around. But Gary also has kind of slowed down a little bit at the plate, but that's expected. You know, he got off to an amazing start with the Padres. I think we're foolish, or people are foolish if they thought that that was going to continue at that rate. You know, it's baseball. You're going to struggle. Devin says, barring Friday's blow-up loss, the Padres won 2 games with small ball and a bit of luck, but most of all, the pitching came through in a big way. I did want to hit on the pitching today. Like Musgrove, obviously, the quality start. And then in the bullpen, Steven Wilson getting out of trouble there, right? I think there was the bases loaded, right? And he didn't give up any runs there. Nick Martinez, allowed a couple runs, but some of those balls were not hit super hard. Hader comes in, gets his 18th save of the season. His ERA is down to 1.27. So the Padres, they used arguably their 3 best relievers to get this series win. And Bob Melvin was ejected. That's something that I haven't hit on yet. This was so bad. I mean, holy cow. It was Jim Wolf, the third base umpire. He says that, I think it was Franco up at the plate. He says that Franco did not go when Wander Franco thought he struck out. Like he thought he went. And Jim Wolf says, nope, didn't go. Manny was pissed off, obviously. He had his hands up talking to Jim Wolf. Wolf didn't eject him, but he obviously threw out Baumel. And Baumel came out, and he was hot as well. Walked all the way from the Padre dugout to third base, down the third base line, to talk with Wolf. And I have not seen the video of it, but from where I was sitting in the stands today, like, he looked pretty pissed off, as he should have been. Like, that, I believe, put the bases loaded there in that spot. And the Padres, what was the score there at that point? Were they only up 1 still at that point? It was late in the game, and it was a bad call. It was a bad call by the umpire. I mean, Wander Franco thought he struck out, and he said he didn't go. And obviously put more pitches on, Wilson's pitch count, right? So, yeah, that sucked. But I like Baumel's fire, obviously, getting pissed off there. I know there's some people on social media that are like, no, Baumel, he needs to get tossed more. Like, there's certain situations where he needs to get pissed off and get thrown out. I don't really believe in that. Like, I want it to be genuine. I don't want it to be fake, where he's faking getting pissed off to try to fire up the team. No, if he's pissed off about something, then yeah, go be pissed off about it. If you're going to get thrown out, all right, good. You're showing your frustration. I get it. But I want it to be real and authentic. If he's not genuinely pissed off about something, then don't get ejected. Because I still want Baumel managing the team. I know some people don't, but I still do. But yeah, that I haven't seen the video yet, but that seemed like a terrible call by the third base umpire there. Mills says infield looked like a little league team. Well, yeah, today Musgrove and Manny, there were some of the fadeaway throws, right, that they just airmailed. But Musgrove, he made the play last start. I think it was against Seattle, right, at Petco. Made the great throw. Manny's done that plenty of times. And it took a hop off the base, so maybe he wasn't ready to field it in that spot. And that maybe threw him off a little bit, or couldn't get the best grip on the ball. I don't know. He'll say that he has to make the play. So I don't want to just go make excuses like, oh, that's not Manny's fault. Yeah, it was his fault. Joe maybe should have ate it, but I realize, like, he's not going to eat it when he knows that he made that play his last start. He thinks he knows he can make the play, not just thinks. He knows he can make the play. There was the rehab start, right, where he had his return kind of pushed back because he had that throw like that, and he actually fell in that spot. Here, he didn't get hurt or anything, so at least that happened. That was good. Omar says, get your votes in, Friar Faithful, hashtag LFGSD. Yeah, so All-Star game coming up this summer. You can still, I believe, vote up to 5 times per day on MLB.com. Who would be the Padres All-Stars right now? And I'm not talking about pitching because that's a different vote. I'm talking about guys that we can vote for. Would it be Bogarts? Would he be shortstop? I'm not saying he's the first one I think of. I was just throwing that out there. Soto and Tatis, I think those are two that most Padre fans would vote for. And I'm not talking about voting for every Padre, including Nola, which I did. I'll admit I did do that the first day that the voting was open. Just because I'm a diehard Padre fan. I probably should have wrote in Gary Sanchez, or was he there at that time? I forget if he was active on the Padres at that time. Or maybe it was Brett Sullivan that some people were writing in as the vote. But anyway, realistically, I think we could say Soto and Tatis. I think Tatis should start the All-Star game. It's the All-Star game. He's one of the superstars in this league, right? And one of the better outfielders in baseball. Like, let's just be honest. He's looking really good in right field. Maybe he moves to center at some point, but he's looking way more comfortable in the outfield, and he's a spark on offense. And the All-Star game, who should be starting the All-Star game? Should it look? I get that, there's good stories in baseball, right? Some guys having great years, but they're not the biggest name. And there would be those people in those fan bases that say this guy deserves to start the All-Star game because of the year that he has had. But also, as a biased Padre fan, I'm sitting there like, well, it's the All-Star game. Sure, he deserves to be an All-Star, but does he have to start the game? I don't think so. Let's put the superstars out there. Let's put the faces of baseball out there on the field to start this game. And I think Tatis is definitely in that. Not Lourdes Gurriel or Corbin Carroll. He's coming up. Like he's good, but I swear I saw All-Star voting like the latest results. First All-Star ballot standings. When was this released? I think this past week, like a week ago, maybe. So, okay, National League. So Manny's 5th in third base. I don't think he deserves to start the All-Star game. Bogarts is 3rd. Like Orlando Arcia is 1st in this update. Like, should he be the starting shortstop in the All-Star game? Should he be an All-Star? Okay, yeah, maybe. But I haven't looked too deep into his numbers. I don't know how good he is this year, but I assume he's doing good. But like, should a bigger name probably start at shortstop? Yeah. Lourdes Gurriel. Yeah, here it is. NL outfield. Lourdes Gurriel Jr. is 3rd. Acuna Betts Gurriel Jr. with Soto 4th. Should Lourdes Gurriel Jr. be starting the All-Star game over Juan Soto or Fernando Tatis Jr.? No. Should he be starting it over probably Corbin Carroll? Probably not. I mean, Corbin Carroll is probably a bigger name than Lourdes Gurriel Jr. is, to be honest, right? Because he's up and coming and he's viewed as probably the face of the D-backs franchise right now. So anyway, that's a tangent that's not related to Padres Rays, but we got on that topic somehow. Because Omar's comment here, get your votes in. All right. I'll get to the rest of the chat, obviously, super chats. Again, if you want to join the show, click that link that is pinned up at the top of the chat, and I'll get you in here. But I wanted to go over to the first 2 games of this series as well after this break. Check out Gaglione Bros' famous cheesesteaks and garlic fries on Friars Road. You can visit their website, gaglionebros.com, for their entire menu and enjoy their cheesesteaks and fries at Petco Park and Snapdragon Stadium as well. All right, so game 2 of this series, the Padres were able to take it 2-0. Blake Snell on the mound. This was a very interesting storyline going into this game yesterday. Blake Snell, obviously, we know his last game at the Tampa Bay Rays, he was taken out by Kevin Cash too early. He was dominating the Los Angeles Dodgers. More specifically, he was dominating the Dodgers' top of the lineup. Mookie, I think it was Max Muncy, I think it was Justin Turner. He was dominating them. And Kevin Cash decided to take Snell out and put in Nick Anderson, who, if you remember, was overworked probably in that postseason. Like, he was taxed. put him in, and obviously we know Dodgers ended up winning their Mickey Mouse ring, and they love to brag about that. So now he faces his former team for the first time, right? Fast forward to Saturday. And going in, I was like, well, the Rays, they probably know a lot about him. And I wouldn't be surprised if Blake doesn't have his best outing. But hey, I'm glad that I was wrong on that. I thought there was a chance that he'd have a really good outing, but I think I was putting more chance on him not having his best outing than him having maybe the best outing of his year. Snell knows the Rays as well, but the Rays, they do have a lot of, they love to cycle players, right? Like they like to have a lot of new players coming in. So I just didn't know how great this was going to work out. But Snell, credit to him, he was motivated going into that start, and he was pumping gas right from the beginning. He was topping 98 in that first inning. First 4 batters that he faced were strikeouts, all 4. And that's hard to do against the Tampa Bay Rays. Musgrove today, how many strikeouts did he have today? Today he had 1 strikeout. So I was wrong on my underdog fantasy pick. I had higher on the 6 punch-outs for Musgrove today. But like it's not the easiest thing to go strike out the Tampa Bay Rays hitters. Nonetheless, 4 Tampa Bay Rays hitters in a row. And that was just a third of his strikeouts on the day. You usually see, a guy strikes out 4, his first 4 batters or 4 batters really early in the game. It's like, well, is he going to continue that the rest of the outing? Probably not. He did that. No, he definitely continued it. 12 punch outs, 2 hits only, 1 run that Blake has allowed in his last 25 innings. And there was this tremendous stat that put Blake in some great company from ESPN Stats and Info that I retweeted last night. Blake Snell struck out all 9 starters yesterday for the 2nd straight start, becoming the 4th pitcher to do so since 1961. The other 3 pitchers to do that, Jacob deGrom in 2021, Pedro Martinez in 1999 and 2000, and Randy Johnson in 1992 and 1999. Have you ever heard of those guys? I heard they were pretty good pitchers. And deGrom, when he's healthy, probably the best pitcher in baseball. So that's some pretty good company to be in. And we know when Blake is going well, he's one of the best pitchers in baseball. I think that there's just a lot of Padres fans that they don't want to commit to Blake long-term when he's a free agent here because of the inconsistency that we do see, that we have seen from Blake in a Padres uniform. I think that the casual fan that doesn't watch Padre games, casual baseball fan, I mean, maybe they're like, yeah, I'd give Blake Snell the money. Former Cy Young, look what he did in the World Series. Maybe they had the game on TV yesterday, the Padre Ray game. Oh, look at Blake. Yeah, give him all that money. But I think Padre fans, we have those bad outings. We have those outings where he walks the bases loaded and then walks in a run. We have those outings in our mind still, and we can't get those outings out of our head. And that's understandable, totally understandable, because, the first half of the seasons with the Padres, I mean, with the exception of probably this year, I know he didn't get off to the best start this year, but, years prior, first half, it's been a lot of inconsistency. In the second half, he's been good. But again, those not so great starts do stick out in our minds. Kind of like in fandom, just overall, I feel like sometimes the bad losses stand out in our minds. Even if the team is playing better baseball, those bad losses or those situations where they don't come through or specific players don't come through when they should, those things stick out to us. So it's going to be interesting to see what Blake gets in free agency. Do the Padres try to extend him? Do the Padres end up paying him in free agency? Would I pay Blake Snell right now in an extension? Man, probably not, to be honest. But then in free agency, then I guess I realized that another team's probably going to go overpay for him because they do see the potential. And another team's going to think, yeah, we can get that out of Blake Snell, have him be consistent. And if he's consistent, the rest of the year, then I wouldn't be surprised to see Peter Seidler continue to spend money. But already locking up Musgrove, already locking up Darvish, already have long-term contract with some multiple position players, right? The core of players. Do they want to have Snell be added to that core of players when he has been inconsistent at times with the Padres? Do they want to add on a big contract like that? Or do they want to bring in a guy on a 1-year deal or a 1 year with an option? Would they rather go that route, or would they rather go the Blake Snell route? Or I guess they could bring in someone else in free agency, someone like Shohei Ohtani, who could hit and can pitch. That guy is on another planet. I mean, I know most fans probably already know that, but the guy's like top 5 in strikeouts. I'm not talking about at the plate. I'm talking about pitching. Top 5 strikeouts. I think top 4 actually. Leads the league in home runs. Homered, was that today or yesterday? The guy felt like the guy homered every at bat in Texas. He's just on another planet. Obviously, I'd love to have Ohtani. You know, it's not my money, but it also kind of is. It kind of is our money as well. So we'll see what happens there. You know, that's a long ways away. But Blake, as I said on my post-game reaction, like, this is on a sizzle reel. I don't know if Boris is going to make him one. But remember the Trey Turner sizzle reel last offseason, where I think it was CAA, they had John Hamm like on his iPhone, like voice memos, like in his car or something, just recording a Trey Turner sizzle reel, and they put it in the video. That's what it sounded like. He had that. Is Boris going to make one for Snell? If he is, then this start is going to be on it, because they're going to say, hey, Blake, he shut down his former team, no runs, 12 punch outs when he faced him. Gave up just 2 hits, 1 run, last 25 innings. They'll probably pull up the ESPN stats and info stat where he's grouped together with DeGrom, Pedro, and Randy Johnson, the big unit, you know. I love what I'm seeing out of Blake right now. Guy's nasty. We'll see if he can continue it. You know, I feel like that's how I end these Blake Snell discussions now, or just whenever I give my thoughts on Blake. We'll see if he can continue it, right? Because again, that inconsistency, it does stick out in our minds. That's just how it is when we're Padres fans. Hopefully I'm not alone in that. I think there's a lot of fans where the inconsistency, it does stick out. Anything else I wanted to get into in this game? I mean, yeah, I guess I can get to some of the luckiness with the Padres in Saturday's game, right? We talked about some of the luckiness that they had. Is luckiness a word? How they got lucky today. They also got lucky yesterday. Bottom 5, Kim bunted on. Grish attempted to bunt. It was a bad bunt. That wasn't out, but ended up being placed perfectly behind the mound in front of second base, and it dropped. Tatis bunted, moved runners to second and third. Soto had a sac fly, like did his job there, but Grish, like that was an out. And if would Tatis have bunted there to get the runners to second and third, if Grish would have been out there, you know, I don't know, because there would have been 1 out there with Grish. There would have been, it would have been what, Kim on first, I think, or would it have been? Yeah, I think it would have been Kim on first if Grish would have popped that up. Would Tatis have bunted in that spot to get Kim over to second? I think he did it because he wanted to get both runners in scoring position. And you have Soto coming up with only 1 out in that spot. And so a sac fly would do the job. So if that bunt didn't go down, maybe the Padres would not have had that opportunity to get that run there. Manny grounded out that to third base, but that was bobbled. If that doesn't happen, that's a run that doesn't score, right? So they did get a little lucky there. But, you know, the pitching was great. That part of this series was encouraging. I know Darvish did not pitch that great, but the pitching for the most part, that was encouraging. Snell, obviously, with the 6 shutout innings. Steven Wilson comes in, pitches an inning. Martinez pitches an inning. Hader pitches an inning, which was the same combination that happened today. Like, Those are the 3, 7, 8, 9 guys. If you get your starter giving you 6 innings, like both of these past 2 games, that's what they're doing. They're going Wilson, Martinez, and Hader. I think Bo Mel's definitely found that combination. And maybe Garcia at some point works his way up, but they don't trust him right now. That's for sure. They don't trust him right now. All right, so game 1 of this series, Padres, they lost 6-2 to the Tampa Bay Rays. This was a frustrating one because Darvish did not have his best night, gave up a couple home runs. Feels like he's given up more home runs this year than he usually does. He ended up going 6, gives up 8 hits, 6 earned runs. Now, he should not have allowed 6 earned runs. There was the Grisham error that wasn't called an error. That led to a bigger inning. But he still did not pitch that great. 5 pitch-outs, gave up 2 home runs. After the Grisham dropped flyout, Siri had an RBI single. Siri stole second base. And this wasn't all in a row, but this is what happened, part of what happened after the Grisham dropped fly ball. Rayleigh had a double, and then Randy Rosarena hit a 3-run home run. And by the way, with Randy, that guy, if he was maybe with the Padres or the Dodgers or the Red Sox or the Yankees or the Braves even, Mets, like he would probably be seen as one of the faces of baseball, to be honest. Like he is fun to watch. I know he was facing the Padres this weekend, so it sucked to see him have success when he did have success. But man, he is engaged with the fans out there in the outfield. Like I love watching that guy play. I didn't like it so much in the World Baseball Classic when Mexico was, I think they played Team USA, right? But when they weren't playing Team USA, when they're not playing the Padres, like I love watching that guy play. And in the outfield on Friday night, in between play during a pitching change, he was out there in left field, leaning up against the wall, signing autographs for fans. Who else does that? And some fans might not like that. They would say, "Be into the game. What are you doing?" You know, like some Padre fans. Let's say Tatis did that or Soto did that. They'd probably get pissed off. But I love it. Like engaging with the fans like that. That's super cool. And he's fun to watch. Really fun to watch. So it wasn't fun seeing him hit that 3-run home run. But that did come after the Grish drop pop up. And was the scorekeeper, the official scorer, was he like not watching the game? Was he napping or something? Because how is that called a hit? I get Grisham had to run a good distance to get to the ball, but Trent Grisham would tell you he has to make that play. He's not going to say, it was a tough play. No, the ball was in his glove and he dropped it. That's what is an error. If that's not an error, what is an error? Anyway, I tweeted that out, I believe, on Friday because it was just like, what the heck? How is that not an error? Because that goes against Darvish. Like those runs end up being earned runs, some of those runs, because that was not called an error. So maybe Darvish doesn't care, but that was just a weird thing there. Again, Padres offensively, 1 for 6 with runners in scoring position. Had some chances in the 9th inning, obviously. Tatis is up, game-tying run up at the plate. The Rays kind of let them get back into the game, even though I didn't really think they were in the game. Like, sure, they had the game-tying run up at the plate there in that 9th inning with Nando up at the plate, but I still didn't think like Nando's going to hit the grand slam there. I didn't think the Padres were in it really much at all that night. Padres fans didn't have a whole lot of reason to have a lot of energy during the game because they got down and they stayed down throughout the game. They were down 1-0, then 2-0, then a 4-run 5th, and the game was definitely over then. Again, even with the game-tying run up at the plate, like some random guy was pitching for the Rays at that point, and then they brought in Fairbanks with a 1.35 ERA because they were like, oh man, well, Tatis is up. He could tie this game with a home run with one swing there. But yeah, they had some dude I'd never heard of pitching in that 9th inning. Armstrong, who's this guy? I guess he has a 0 ERA, but he doesn't have that many appearances. Sean Armstrong, 6 games this year. He has a career 4.42 ERA. So, okay, well, over 200 games. So he definitely is a veteran in the big leagues. But yeah, I'd never heard of that guy. And they didn't bring in their big guy until they needed to. That just tells you like they didn't think that the Padres were in that game either. So that was frustrating. Like that was one of those where it was like, all right, seems like, yeah, same old Padres, at least for this year, for the majority of the season, right? Not coming through with runners in scoring position, just not really doing a whole lot. And yeah, they won the last 2 games of the series. But again, it kind of like my point earlier, the losses sticking out. I think of Friday's loss. I think of some of the losses earlier in the year, right? And I look at the runners in scoring position numbers in this series overall, 5 for 25. I think of some of the plays where they got lucky in this series. And I'm like, has this team really turned a corner? Are they really back? How encouraged should we actually be from this series? And my answer to that is I'm not that encouraged by the offense performance. And right now, Darvish, he's probably not one of the aces of the Padres rotation right now. I would give that to Waka. I would give that to Snell. I'd give that to Musgrove. That's just how it's been with Darvish. I mean, it's the facts, right? Obviously, the Yankees start that he had there, that sticks out, right? Again, the bad start sticking out. His ERA is 4.74, excuse me. He did start in Mexico City, so you do have to give him that. And he did kind of have that weird start to the season where he wasn't used a whole lot in the World Baseball Classic, right? Came in, I think, as a reliever. So it was a weird start to the season, excuse me, for him. But it's June now, right? You can't use that as an excuse now. And you look at, I'm going through his game logs right now. April 10th gave up 5 runs. April 30th gave up 4 runs. In between those was good outings. 4 runs allowed against the Royals in less than 6 innings of work, May 17th. In between that, pretty solid outings. 7 runs against the Yankees, didn't make it out of the third. And then gave up 4 runs against Colorado, 6 runs in this last start. So it's not like he had one terrible outing and the rest have been great. He's had it seems like most of these outings have been good outings, but that's not what an ace is. Like an ace is most of the time they're great outings. Every pitcher's going to have clunkers, but I think right now, Waka, Snell, probably even Musgrove, I'd say they're in a tier higher than where Darvish is at right now. So yeah, that was a disappointing loss in game 1 of this series. I mean, after Darvish, Kerr pitched, Honeywell, Chris Matt. So that tells you that, they were saving their big guys for these next couple games because they knew the Padres themselves felt like, we're not in this game. Soto and Machado in that game on Friday combined to go 0 for 7. Sanchez 0 for 4. And when we look at Gary, him kind of coming back down to earth, which it's expected. Again, he got off to a really hot start there. I think we're foolish to expect him to continue doing that. His last, 5 games, he doesn't have a hit. He is, now, not all of those are starts. Some of those are pinch hit appearances. But let's see here. 8, 11, 12 at-bats, I think. Yeah, 12 at-bats, last 5 games, no hits. So his average for the year, 245 on June 13th. June 18th, it is now at 200. In the month of June, his average is 192. It feels weird to say doesn't have a home run since June 13th because we were used to him having a home run like every day or every other day or once every 3 games, but we haven't really seen that since, obviously. But I think it's kind of in the middle. Like right now he's struggling, but he's better than Nola. He's a better option than Nola, has a better arm. He still deserves to be the starting catcher, no doubt. But I don't think we should expect him to perform like he did at the beginning. offensively. Like him homering all the time and just all the contributions that he had offensively. I don't think that should be a realistic expectation. I think we should expect him to be in the middle. Not all the way up, but not like how he is right now. Maybe some fans disagree. You can let me know in the chat, but that's kind of where I stand on Gary right now. And I did want to hit on Odor, the Odor Carpenter thing, because both are obviously can hit from the left side. Right now, I probably like Odor more than Matt Carpenter DHing. Like, Carp has been struggling this year. And I didn't think I probably would have said that going into the season, like, oh yeah, Odor over Carpenter. But just look at the numbers. I mean, Carpenter's hitting 181. Odor's not great, 218. But like today, came through with runners in scoring position with a hit. And Carpenter was one of the better clutch hitters for the Padres to start the season. But there's just some things with the approach. Like there was an at-bat today, first pitch swinging, and I don't have a great view of where exactly the pitch is from my seats, but it didn't look like it was a great pitch. And he, I think, fouled it off his foot. Like just not the best approach. I would just, it's kind of just a feel thing for me. I would just go with Odor right now, DH-wise, over Matt Carpenter. Matt Carpenter doesn't have a hit since June 11th, so he's gone a week since getting a hit. And Rougned Odor, he came through today, which was good to see. And let's see how he's doing. Looking at his game logs. Well, okay, so his last, because I was looking at his game logs and I saw a bunch of offers, but that was because he didn't have an official at-bat there. Let's see. His last, well, so far in June, let's just talk about June. So far in June, he's hitting .313 with a .500 slugging percentage. Compared to Matt Carpenter in June, who's hitting .167 with a .200 slugging percentage. So I did say it was feel, but then when you go and look at the stats, you're kind of like, yeah, probably Odor's the better choice over Carp DHing from the left side. All right. Oh, by the way, there was something I tweeted out on Friday about Rays Padres and that loss, just because I was frustrated, obviously, from just the performance. And, you know, it just felt like, yeah, we've seen this a lot this year. You know, the Rays, they go into the game, obviously low payroll. And I know that's talked about, you know, we think of the Rays, or any baseball fan thinks of the Rays, and it's like impossible to talk about them without bringing up the money, like the low payroll and all that. So it is like the layup to bring up the money, but it still is a fact. No Rays player making at least $8 million started on Friday. 4 Padres that played on Friday. I think it's Darvish, Manny, Soto, Bogarts, I think. They're making at least $8 million. And the Padres, I think there were 3 games under 500 then, and the Rays' best record in baseball. And they still have the best record in baseball. Right now, the Rays sit 51-24. First place, obviously, in the American League East. And the Padres, with the big payroll that they have, 35-36, 4th in the NL West. NL West, it's been a good division. You know, Giants, D-backs probably outperforming expectations, but the Padres at the same time are underperforming. So that's not a good combination, right? All right. I'm going to get to the chat, but first, I want to tell you about the best and easiest way to play fantasy sports. It's Underdog Fantasy. They have great pick'em games and best ball tournaments. In pickup games, just pick higher or lower on 2 to 5 players' stats, and you can win up to 20 times your money in a single night. You can go cross-team, cross-league, and even cross-sport. Best ball revolves around the draft, which is what every fan loves the most about fantasy, and it eliminates the hassle of having to manage your roster all season long, resulting in a fun and easy fantasy product. How does it work exactly? You enter a contest where you participate in a snake draft against other users. That lineup that you drafted competes against every other draft in the entire contest. The better the combined performance of your team, the more money you win. After your lineup is all played, Underdog will take the best performing players and automatically set them as your starting lineup. That's it. No waivers, no trades, no worrying about who to start or sit. After you complete your draft, your part is done. Underdog Fantasy offers best ball in a variety of ways, including daily contests, weekly contests, playoff contests, and season-long contests. You can either enter into these and compete against thousands of other entrants for huge prizes, or, if you'd like, you can enter into a private draft with friends and family to compete for a smaller prize pool. Underdog keeps it super simple with their easy-to-use website and mobile apps. Sign up now by clicking the link in the description or by using the promo code TALKINGFRIARS, and you'll double your first deposit up to $100 in bonus cash when you make your first deposit of $10 or more. So if you deposit $100, you get $100 free. If you deposit $10, you get $10 free. All right, I'll get to the chat here, but I did want to play Don Orsillo's call of Tatis's great throw today and great pick by Nola that nabbed Manny Margot at the plate. Padres ended up winning by 1 run. If that run would have scored, Padres maybe would still be playing. Maybe they would have lost the game. Who knows what the heck would have happened. But it was a great throw, great play. I'm hearing this for the first time because I was at the game, so let's listen here.
On the ground, into right field, a base hit. Ruhan to be sent around. Here's the throw from Fernando. He will be out! Fernando, the laser to the plate, throws out Ruhan. Let her rip. Nice pick by Nola as well. Oh, does he get him on the numbers before his hand hits the plate? Photo finish, hold all tickets. They are challenging.
Nick was fired up there. Yeah, that was a good call. And that was after Bomel, I believe that was after Bomel got ejected. Yeah, because I think, Bomel got ejected when Wilson was on the mound, right? And Martinez was in the game during Nando with his laser blowing Margot up at the plate. All right, let's get to the chat here. I forget where I left off, so I'm going to go back up to the top. Omar says, loving Bomel finally getting amped up and protecting the boys. Need more of that from the skipper. And I mentioned this earlier. I think we need more of that when it's necessary. Maybe even we don't even need more of it. Like, it's just going to come when it's necessary. I don't want him getting ejected every other night when the team needs a spark. Like, the spark has to come from the players at the end of the day, most of the time. I get the manager wanting to provide a spark, but Bomel's not trying to get ejected to provide a spark. He's going to get ejected because he's pissed off at a call that happened. And today, the guy was, I think Warner was walking back to the dugout. He thought he struck out, and Jim Wolf says that he didn't go. And now he gets on base. It was just a bad call. And so, Bomel was pissed off. Like, this, winning this series was obviously big for this Padres team because of where they're at. Like, they're under 500, and just it's the best team in baseball. You know, there was motivation to win this series, and just the singular game. Like, it was a close game. The Padres, they had the lead. The competitor in you, when there's a bad call like that, you're going to get pissed off. But there's some times where I think fans, we get pissed off at something because maybe we don't have the same camera angle that they do, that the video people in the clubhouse do, that are calling to the dugout saying, don't need to challenge this. And some of us, again, don't have that in some situations. And we're like, that's stupid. Why is Bomel not challenging? Or there's a call, like maybe a bad strike call, right? And we're like, how is Bomel? Some might be like, how is Bomel not pissed off at that? Well, he can't really see very great from the dugout if a ball is a ball or a strike. Was it a bad call? He can't really see that, right? He doesn't have the same center field camera view that we have. So there's some situations where it's like, you got to realize, you got to look at it from his point of view. He's not going to get pissed off all the time like some fans will. I want him to get pissed off again when it's genuine. Hopefully that makes sense there. Tupac 13, good win, but ugly win, if that makes sense. Yeah, yep, definitely makes sense. It was a good job by the pitching staff, but it wasn't the most convincing. It wasn't the most encouraging win. I don't think it was the most encouraging series win. Devin says, nice hat you wore earlier, Ben. Yeah, I had my straw hat on. Yeah, at the Padre game. It was hot. It was hot yesterday. I was at Snapdragon for the Wave game. Unfortunately, they lost. We'll get to that here in a little bit. But yeah, I got that from Foco. So they were nice enough to send me that. So just if you go on to Foco's website, or if I think you could just go on my pregame thoughts video, and in the comments, someone asked where I got the hat, and I put the link in there. So you can just click that, and that's where I got that hat. But thank you, Devin. Austin says, you see the Dodgers got swept, now in third, and we're catching up to them. I'm not even worried about the Dodgers right now. I'm not worried about really any team in the division. Like, I realize that this next series against the Giants is important because it is a division team and they're ahead of the Padres, but I don't want to worry about the division or teams ahead of us until we get above 500. Like, let's show some consistency, keep winning series. And I know some fans would be like, well, Ben, they are showing consistency because they've won, 5 series in a row? I think that's what I saw earlier today. And that's great. But I'm talking more about like the consistency with runners in scoring position, having these wins be like real good, convincing wins. And I know that's nitpicking, and I should just be happy when they win games. I am happy when they do win games. But I'm just looking at this as, well, look at the sample size we have. It's a pretty darn good sample size this year of this team being inconsistent. So when they win and it's not in the most encouraging way, I'm going to be like, I'm probably going to look at it from more of the negative view because we have that sample size from this year of underwhelming baseball, especially offensively. So yeah, we took 2 out of 3 from the Rays. Padres did. I shouldn't say we because I'm not playing. We're not playing. 2 out of 3 from the Rays, 2 out of 3 from the Guardians, 2 out of 3 from the Rockies, split with the Mariners, split with the Cubs, and I think took 2 out of 3 from Miami. Yeah, took 2 out of 3 from Miami. Haven't lost a series since the end of May against the Yankees, which I believe one of those games they could have won. But, some of these are splits where it's like, would have wished they could have won both of those games. Or some of these games where, should have swept the Rockies, right, last weekend. So, again, I'm not super encouraged after this series, but I'm going to take 2 out of 3, obviously. And it's always great to see when the Dodgers get swept, obviously. They lost 15-0 yesterday. I mean, holy cow. Yeah, I agree, Alex. Terrible call by Wolf earlier today. Omar says Wolf needs to let off the PEDs. Yeah, his biceps are pretty big, but I guess he needs to get bigger glasses or a better prescription or something. Does he have glasses or better contacts? Because that was a terrible call that he made. JD's Third says, this weekend seems like it was our World Series for the season. I disagree with that. No, I'm not going to lie. Going down the stairs at Petco Park, exiting the stadium today, there were "Let's Go Padres" chants, kind of like the end of the season last year. in the postseason. I remember those chants. And that's, I think, the first time, or maybe it's happened before this season, but that was like the first time that I remember that happening this year. So, yeah, I think some fans viewed it as, this is a very important series. They won the series. Amazing. Probably, it's probably the best they felt after a series at Petco maybe this year, just because of the team that they beat. The records, looking at the records. But speaking for myself, obviously can't speak for everyone else, but speaking for myself, I didn't view this series as the World Series for the season. I think that it was great to take 2 out of 3, but I'm also sitting here saying that, I'm not super encouraged by what the offense did this weekend. Like, I'm great. I'm happy. It's great. I'm happy they took 2 out of 3, but there's still work to be done here. Before I'm going to say, this team, this is the real Padres now. They've turned the corner. All right, let's get over 500. JD's third says Soto and Hader will be our only All-Stars. Nando won't get in. Unfortunately, he's 6th in voting. Soto and Hader, just in total, I disagree with that. Walker's not going to be an All-Star. I think he's pitching like one. And I'm not saying he's going to start the All-Star game. He's not. But based on numbers, he's not going to. Maybe he doesn't initially get selected, but maybe he's a replacement All-Star. Okay, Hader. Okay, Soto. But Tatis is not going to be in the All-Star game. If he keeps playing pretty well, I think that's going to be hard to exclude him from the All-Star game. Bogarts, we'll see. The shortstop position in the National League, I don't think it's been that strong this year, to be honest. I know Trey Turner has also struggled this year with the Phillies in his first year. So who was, I said Orlando Arcia was the leading vote getter at shortstop in the first ballot update. Like, it hasn't been a great, strong shortstop year. So maybe Bogarts gets in as well. I disagree with Soto and Hader only. I think there'll be at least one other person. Charlie says it was dumb of the Padres breaking off the All-Stars voting alliance with the Blue Jays. Toronto always have the most All-Stars because a whole country votes for them. Yeah, but those, to be fair, those alliance things, how often do they actually work? Like, do fans actually vote for, like this year, Padres Mariners, right? That's the alliance, the duo. Do Padres fans sit there and be like, we're aligned with the Mariners, so I'm going to vote for all Mariners? Some probably vote for Ty France, but we're going to sit there and vote for all Mariners? Or are we going to vote for American League players that we think are actually All-Stars? Because the Mariners, that, to be fair, we're underperforming, right? Padres, the Mariners are underperforming this year as well. So I guess they are aligned there, 2 underperforming teams. But does that actually work, or are they doing that because they think it works? They're just doing that for social media. Like, I think what would work, just to have fun, is Padres. I'm serious. The Padres and the Rays. That would make it great. Padrays. Padres. Hashtag Padres. It makes the most sense, doesn't it? I get the spring training thing, and they can do stuff before the season, or when they just met up. I get that. But Padres, I mean, that makes the most sense, does it not? The Rays can use their full name in it too. I would like that. Yeah, Ivan. Yeah, Gaglione Bros. It's on Friars Road. Yep. Devin says Fox Sports trying to say Machado was funny. Yeah, Eric Karros. My goodness. That the Machado thing, he got it wrong. So Manny yesterday, the game was on Fox. It was on national television. Manny makes a couple great plays in the game, and he's like, what? Props to my guy, or shout out to my guy, Don Ursillo, Padre announcer, as he would say, you just got Machado'd. Don doesn't say that. Not Manny, Mud. Mud is the one that says it. Don says Manny said no. But Mud, correct me if I'm wrong. Mud's the guy that says you just got Machado'd. So yeah, Karros was wrong on that one. And wasn't he thinking that Soto was maybe going to bunt in that inning where they were all bunting? Like, come on. Tatis called that on his own. And situationally, that was a great spot to do that, right? Because the offense wasn't doing a whole lot. He was trying to bunt for a hit, I think. It just ended up being an out. But he got the runners over. Like, he just wanted to get those runners over because he knew even if he got out, 1 out, and you have Soto coming up, that can be a sac fly and score the run. So, yeah. Karros, I'm not a huge fan of him. And any national broadcast, let's be honest, it's going to look worse compared to Mud and Don. That's just what it is. Steven says, you are not nitpicking, Ben. You are doing what Ben and Woods are afraid to do. I do see that. Like, do most people think that Ben and Woods are like really pro Padres? Like they're not going to criticize them. I disagree with that. Like, they work for the Padres radio network and they're Padres fans, just like I'm a Padres fan. So I tend to be pro Padres. I think they tend to be pro Padres, but I think Woodsy and Ben, Paul, I think they're, when the team isn't playing good, they'll criticize them. So I kind of disagree with that, Steven. There are some that I feel like do definitely, like to look at the positives when things are clearly not positive. But no, I think Ben and Woods are good. Devin says, I know I'm late on this, Ben, but what do you think of the A's reverse boycott? I think that it was great for A's fans, like saying like, we're not the problem. And I think Rob Manfred, his comments, I don't know if some of you guys saw over the weekend or maybe it was on Friday, whenever it was, he made comments to the media about the boycott. And he was like, yeah, it was great that for one night they almost got what is an average Major League Baseball attendance this year. Like, he was being a D about it, like, come on, man. Do you have to take a shot at the fans? I get you work for the owners, but do you have to take a shot at the fans? They all organized that themselves. They showed they're not the problem. If the team was winning, it wouldn't be that. Just 28,000 or almost 28,000, whatever it was. It would be more than that. Even in that bad stadium, it would be more than that. Like, A's fans, they are not the problem. It's John Fisher that the commissioner is allowing to just move to Vegas. I just feel bad for the A's fans. I love that they did it. It was great. They made their voices be known. The chants sell the team, being silent in the 5th inning and then chanting it, right? I loved it. And they won the game too. Like, they should make a documentary about that. And hopefully someone will, someday. I loved it. But unfortunately, that's not going to change anything. It seems like the A's, they're moving to Vegas. And Rob Manfred's just allowing all this and doesn't care. So, yeah, it sucks. All right, let's get to some other San Diego sports stuff, shall we? Let's start with San Diego State. So this happened on Friday. The news broke on Friday. And the news was president of San Diego State University, President De La Torre, she sent a letter to the Mountain West commissioner and I believe the presidents of the Mountain West schools. She sent this letter on Tuesday indicating San Diego State's intent to leave before the start of the 2024-2025 sports seasons. And San Diego State, they are requesting a 1-month extension to the June 30th deadline. They're requesting for an extension so that they don't have to pay $34 million. if they were to announce that they were going to leave and they were going to leave in less than a year's notice, right? Like that's the deadline date. And San Diego State, their athletic director, JD Wicker, he has said in the past, like they can't pay that. So it's June 30th. That's the date. And they want a 1-month extension. The news of San Diego State writing this letter indicating their intent to leave, that's not really news, I don't think. Because we, at least San Diego State fans who have heard JD Wicker, they've heard President De La Torre, we know that they want to leave the conference. Yeah, they're going to leave the conference at some point. They intend to leave the conference. I think what's news is they want the 1-month extension. So what does that tell you about this Pac-12 media deal? Does this tell you, should this tell us that this media deal, yeah, probably not going to get done by June 30th. So they're asking for the extension. And they'll think the media deal will get done by then, and then they'll get the invitation and they'll go. I guess they're kind of risking not being in a conference for a year, because if they can't pay and they announce that they're leaving, so in 2024, 2025, if they don't get an invitation, or if they get an invitation but they don't join until 2025, 26, and they're not in the Mountain West because they already announced that they're going to leave, if that does go into effect, that they are leaving, because this letter, again, President De La Torre, she said that this is not their official letter saying that they're leaving. This isn't like their official resignation letter. This was just a letter saying that they intend to leave. But the Mountain West is taking it as, no, you're saying that you're going to leave. So they've already started that process, and De La Torre was, I guess, pissed off about that. Now, with San Diego State, I think you should just announce that you're leaving. You shouldn't announce your intention to leave, because the Mountain West, why would they approve this 1-month extension? You're leaving the conference. So they want to get the $34 million, not the $17 million. If you leave by June 30th, or announce that you're going to leave by June 30th, you get an invitation, you leave, you accept it, you pay $17 million. The Mountain West wants the 34. So why would they want to extend this deadline? So we'll see what happens. We'll see if San Diego State does get this extension. I wouldn't expect them to get this extension unless like they would come to the middle. So let's say 17, 34, let's say the Mountain West agrees, like, yeah, we'll give you the 1-month extension, and you don't have to pay us 34 mil, but you're not going to pay 17. You're going to have to pay us 24 million or 22 million or whatever. You're going to have to pay us more than the 17 million. Maybe that's how the Mountain West accepts this 1-month extension request from San Diego State, but I don't think they will. It doesn't. I don't think it really benefits them. They're the ones losing out on this. They're losing their best team, their best overall school, a team that just went to the Final Four, a softball team that just went to the Super Regionals. Like they were so close to going to the Women's College World Series. San Diego State's in a good spot, just athletically. And so the Mountain West, they're not happy about this. So they probably want to get the most that they can out of this. So we'll see again how that situation happens, or how it ends up happening. What happens? When does San Diego State leave? But I don't think this is a surprise to Aztecs fans that they're intending to leave the conference. Now it's just a matter of, does the Pac-12 get this media rights deal done? And does the invitation happen before June 30th? Because if it does, then San Diego State, they'll accept it and move on. If it doesn't, and let's say San Diego State doesn't get the extension, and it's June 29th or June 28th or something, and still no invitation from the Pac-12, and the Big 12 comes in and offers San Diego State a deal, does JD Wicker and San Diego State, President De La Torre, do they accept it? Because they're like, well, we can't pay the 34 mil. Pac-12 still hasn't had a TV deal, or they haven't invited us. Do we just go to the Big 12? or do they take the risk of waiting for the Pac-12 to make a real last-minute offer? I don't know. I don't know what would happen there. I personally, as an Aztecs fan and someone who's going to be going there, I want this team to be in the Pac-12. I think that just makes sense geographically. Being in the same conference as schools like Stanford and Oregon, I think that's appealing. But in the Big 12, it's better than the Mountain West, right? For the athletes, that might not be the best thing, and rivalry-wise, geographically, maybe that's not the best thing, but it's still better than the Mountain West. So we'll see what happens. Look, San Diego State, they're in a good position, I think. And I'm excited to see how this all ends up. San Diego State, do they end up getting that Pac-12 invite, or do they end up getting an extension? Do they end up going to the Big 12? We'll see. But again, I'm not surprised by this news for sure. All right, let's get to the San Diego Wave. So unfortunately, this weekend, San Diego Wave FC, they fell to Angel City. It was a close match. They fell 2-1. The Wave, they took the lead 1-0. Kristen McNabb, she ended up scoring in the 57th minute, an assist by Alex Morgan. Some fans maybe watching this game, watching this match, Morgan, she exited well before the end of the match. But remember, she sat the last match because she was dealing with a little bit of a calf injury, calf tightness that happened, I think, during warm-ups for their last match. So they were probably being careful. The World Cup's coming up. They only have one more match before the international players, U.S. women's national team as well, before they are sent to their international teams. So it's close. So they're probably being precautionary there with Alex. But she had the assist. It was a great pass, and she put the ball in front of McNabb, and that allowed McNabb to have the one touch, obviously, and in. So that made it 1-0. But then Angel City, they came through in the 69th minute. Paige Nielsen, who is not known for scoring goals, obviously, she comes through with a goal, both on the near side for Sheridan, the near post on the right side, if you're looking at it from Sheridan's point of view, and two late goals, so 69th minute and 88th minute. And when Nielsen scored, so there was Alyssa Thompson who came off. She did not play the entire match. She didn't score, but you could definitely tell, this was my first time watching her live, you could tell how special she is, and you definitely could see why Vlatko Ananovsky, U.S. women's national team, why they would be interested in having her be on this team for the World Cup, even with how young she is, because of her speed and her shot-making abilities, shot creation. She's super talented. But she was subbed off. Sydney LaRue, she came off, and I was like, all right, well, those are two main threats for Angel City. 1-1 game. Seems like this is going to be a tie, and look, you obviously want to win the match if you're the Wave, but a tie, that wouldn't be the end of the world. You would still be gaining at least 1 point in the match or coming away from the match. But they allowed that late goal there, and they could not get that second goal to tie it. They had some chances there late. They had a chance early, Ali, to score the first goal, but couldn't get it. They had a couple chances late, main chances. Korniak with a header went just wide. She came in as a sub, as a game changer, as the Wave like to call it. And then Mel Barcena, she also came in late into the match, and she created a great shot. It was, I think, the Wave's last shot opportunity of the match, and it went right to the goalkeeper, Didi Heritage. But it was an exciting ending for sure, and the announced attendance for this match, 25,515 fans. I do got to give props to Angel City FC, their supporters. They did travel to San Diego. They definitely made themselves heard in the second deck there at Snapdragon. But at the same time, they were complaining about the security at Snapdragon for some reason. They were complaining about them taking away their balloons, which doesn't make sense because there was a balloon that flied onto the pitch during the match. So yeah, they have a reason to take away the balloons. But they made noise, and they showed up for sure. They were there last season when the Wave beat them in the Snapdragon Wave debut there. Jaden Shaw scored that goal. Sheridan had a huge penalty kick save late in that match. They showed up then. They showed up now. So props to them. But, the Wave, they have a 1-1 record against Angel City so far this year. And Angel City, that was their first win in a while. I think they had 2 wins in the regular season this season so far, entering the match on Saturday. The Wave, they're top of the table entering the match. So they're in 2 different positions. They already had fired their manager. And the Wave, they have Casey Stoney, who probably should be here at least through 2026, lining up with Naomi Girma's contract, because she has done a phenomenal job, I think, in her position. But I was reading the Union Tribune, and I guess she doesn't have a contract through 2026. So as she told the media, it's going to be the Wave's job, obviously, to evaluate and see if she is the woman for the job. And I think she is. I think she's done a phenomenal job with this club. So the next match for the Wave coming up, it is on Saturday, 7 p.m. against Megan Rapinoe and the OL Reign. Reign are near the top of the table as well. And this is the last match. As I said earlier, this is the last match for the international players before they're sent to their camps. So Alex Morgan, Naomi Girma. We'll see if Taylor Korniak makes the roster. Don't know. I mean, the height is definitely an advantage there over other countries in the World Cup, I would assume. We'll see if she makes the roster there. There's Sophia Jakobsen, I believe Emily Van Egmond, Kaylin Sheridan. There are other players that will be not just U.S. women's national team. They'll be representing other countries. So this is where San Diego Wave, after this next match, their depth is going to be tested. But I think they have one of the deeper rosters in the league. So there might be problems, but we're going to see more playing time for Doniak, Turnbow, assuming she's healthy, Ali, Mel Barcenas. Like we're going to see more playing time from them. And I think something definitely to look or pay attention to for Wave fans is how does the Wave backup keeper do with Sheridan gone? Because Sheridan, arguably is the best keeper in the league. Definitely one of the best keepers in the league. So how do they do there? How do they do with Girma gone from center back? How do they do there? Obviously Morgan, but defense, like how do they do there? That's something to look forward to or look at. I don't know about look forward to. I mean, maybe look forward to. Like I'm excited to see how they do, but I'm not looking forward to having Girma gone and Sheridan gone. Like obviously you want them there. But in the World Cup, I'm going to be rooting, obviously, for the U.S. Women's National Team, and I'll be rooting for the Wave players as long as they're not playing the U.S. Women's National Team. So, again, you can get your tickets, SanDiegoWaveFC.com, Reign and the Wave next Saturday at Snapdragon. All right. Any other comments, questions here? Steven says, Manfred is a villain. He moved the All-Star game because he's a lefty, but he wants that Vegas money. Manfred, the little people in Oakland. I think, Manfred, look, he works for the owner. So I understand why he's going to support the owners, but there's some things that he doesn't have to say, right? He doesn't have to say what he said about the A's fans. Like, he didn't say, like, A's fans suck, but he was saying, like, yeah, that's great that they didn't fill Oakland Coliseum for one night. Like, that's great. They almost had an average attendance. He didn't have to do that. Like, he did that as a shot to the A's fans when he should be taking shots at the owners if he wasn't working for the owners. But he worked for the owners, so I understand it. We'll see what happens with the vote because the Major League Baseball owners are going to have to vote to approve this move. So hopefully Peter Seidler's vote ends up going public, like someone can get that. Because I'm very interested in seeing how Peter does here. Does he approve this move, or does he say no to this? Because he can say no and the move still happens. Hopefully he says no, because he saw what happened with the Chargers, being in San Diego, obviously. I don't think he would want this move, but maybe he votes yes just because he doesn't want to piss off other owners. I don't know. But I would definitely say no to this. Steven says, why they are moving to that conference. Eventually it will dissolve. I think he's talking about Pac-12. And in the meantime, it will become a warm Dover Mountain West. Oh, warmed over. Sorry, those were two words combined there that I saw in the chat. A warmed over Mountain West. Because I think that they're just seeing Pac-12, Power 5 conference, and they're seeing this is a better opportunity than the Mountain West. And it's not a guarantee that those other schools will leave the Pac-12, to be honest. Like, Aztecs don't know that, and they don't know the next time that they'll be invited to a Power 5. So it's kind of like, yeah, let's take this opportunity while we have it. We're coming off a Final Four appearance in basketball, national championship game appearance. That is, like, let's take it. All right. Anything else I wanted to get to here? I don't think so. Padres Giants coming up. Next 4 games for the Padres. No off day. Don't have an off day. They have 4 games against the Giants, and then they have that series against the Nats before an off day, before going back on the road to face Pittsburgh and Cincinnati before they come back home and face the Angels. And then the Mets before the All-Star break. So that's what's up next for the Padres. The Giants, what are they right now? Let's see here. I know someone said in the chat, I think Devin said that they swept the Dodgers. So Giants, obviously, they're playing good baseball here. What are they right now? They're second in the division behind Arizona, 39-32. So they've won 7 games in a row. Their run differential plus 48, which is double the Padres' run differential. Padres 7-3 in their last 10. Giants 8-2 in their last 10. This will be another series where the Padres can measure up to their competition, right? Best team in the league they just beat. And then the San Francisco team, right now, record-wise in the National League, they're one of the best teams in the National League. So we'll see. You hope that they take 3 out of 4, but right now, my expectation is that they split 4-game series on the road. Don't have their best relievers probably in the first game. I think I'll take a split. Definitely would be disappointed in a series loss, though. All right, that's it. Game reminder, code Talking Friars on SeatGeek, $20 off your order. Click that link in the description for BreakingT.com. Great shirts there, sweatshirts, Wave, Aztecs, Padres. That'll do it. Episode 415 of Talking Friars. Ben Fadden signing off. Thank you so much for the time. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube. Turn on the notifications so you don't miss when I go live, or you don't miss when a video's out. And download and review the podcast on the podcast platforms. Again, Talking Friars. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great rest of your day, great rest of your night, and I will talk to y'all later.